to my channel. I am a crank addict, and this is the channel for crank addicts like me, and hopefully like you. Today we're going to be working on this 1976 Trans Am. We've got a little problem with the starter. Battery's completely dead. Okay, so the battery's completely dead on this Trans Am because I haven't driven it in 6 months. The ring gear on the flywheel, this is a manual transmission, the ring gear stripped out because the starter wasn't engaging the way it should. I fixed the problem, but too little, too late, and now the flywheel is trashed. So we're going to be pulling out the transmission, clutch, pressure plate, and flywheel, doing R&R, and get this thing back together so we can get it inspected before the registration runs out. So here we go. Let's jack it up into the air. So, once the battery is disconnected, then you need to get access to the transmission and drive shaft. So, you got to remove your exhaust and you need to disconnect your parking brake. Alright, well here's the custom exhaust that I made. We obviously have a little bit of an oil leakage issue here. Lots of oil falling on the pipe and getting all crusty and burnt. And you can see how it's coming down here, and that's like a natural flame job there. Pretty cool. Alright. Now we're going to grab a 7/16 inch wrench and undo the drive shaft. Okay. Alright, there's the drive shaft. Okay, well I'm ready to drop this transmission, but before I do so, we need to remove the shifter from the linkage. There we go. And we've got this other little boot we need to remove. Alright, there we go. 5/16 nut driver. We'll get these little screws out of there. Okay, here we go. Not glued down, just a little sticky for being there for the last 10 years. Let's remove the shifter knob here. There we go. Okay. Bingo. All right. Now you can see the factory Hurst shifter down there. Very cute. Has the adjustable stops so you don't smash your gears when you're power shifting. And what else? 9/16. Got nylon locking nuts on there, so these are snug. It's kind of hard to believe I built this thing myself. It's built pretty well. Alright, so here comes the shifter. There we go. So now we can drop the transmission. Well, I'm going to try to use this transmission jack to catch the transmission. I've never used this thing for a 4-speed before, so we'll see how it does. Slide that through the front. For this transmission too far, well, first I'm going to jack it up just a hair so I can remove the cross member. I think that's it there. Yep. Oh, that's greasy. We'll be cleaning that. And I'll lower the transmission a little bit, but before I go too far, I'm going to put a piece of wood and a jack under the oil pan. Okay. My tripod doesn't really fit underneath this car. It's still too low. But I've got it sitting on a block of wood, kind of sideways, so maybe you guys can see what I'm up to here. Let's see, let's tighten this up a little more. Make sure that's off of the bell housing. And I got 2 more 3/4 inch bolts to remove. There's 4 of these guys total. This side's a little harder to get to than the other side. There we go. I almost need my long extension, but I left it at the boat. All 4 bolts are loose. This thing should come out. So I'm gonna give it a little wiggle. Slide it straight back. There we go. And let's drop it down. Usually I just manhandle these things into place. But I had to try out the jack. I bought this jack when I was having all those problems with the 700R Ford on the Zombie Suburban. But that Zombie Suburban is now in a good home. The guy that purchased it has a bit of crypto money, and he's using that to fix it up. He already put on 4 brand new mud tires, as well as a digital dash from Dakota Digital. And he changed out the stereo unit as well. So yeah, he's doing a lot of stuff on this truck. So it's definitely in good hands. I do miss that Zombie Suburban though. Man, that was a cool truck. I do like it. Alright, there's the transmission. I'm going to dump it off the jack now. There we go. Woo! That wasn't too bad. All right. Well, light, so I can't really show you guys what's going on up in here. I don't know if I can put something together for you guys or not. Let me look around. Let me see what I can do as far as the shop light goes. All right, so this is the Super T10 4-speed made by Borg Warner. If I can get my shadows out of there. All right, and this is a wide ratio T10. It's at least as strong as the old Muncie wide ratios, not as strong as the close ratio Rock Crusher, but it is a good 4-speed. And these things are typically known to handle 450, 500 horsepower pretty well. Of course, it was never designed to handle this. So yeah, I shift it very gently into second. And I keep street tires on this thing. Like I said, yes, they're 335s, Kumos, you know, the 200 tread wear rating, but they're not slicks. And I haven't killed anything yet. So usually these tires just break loose when I hit second gear instead of breaking the transmission. So that's a good thing. We obviously have a bit of oil all around here. I'm not sure if that's from the transmission or from the crankshaft seal, crank seal. But yeah, it's definitely dirty back here. Got some wirings hanging around here. To remove this bell housing, all we need to do is remove these bolts around the edges here. Pretty simple. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus the inspection plate on the bottom, which is a few more. And this thing will come off, and then we'll have access to the clutch and pressure plate. So I can't really film this and hold the camera at the same time, so I'm going to put you guys down for a little bit, okay? Okay, so I just dropped the inspection plate, and it's pretty ugly in there. So I doubt that's gear oil. It's probably engine oil from a leaky rear seal. So let's check this out. Let's do this with one hand here, and then keep the camera out of the light. There we go. All right. Hey, that looks pretty dry. That's good. Well, there is the Centerforce Clutch. It's an interesting clutch here. Basically, as your RPMs increase, these little weights spring out and give you more clamping force. You know, so yeah. Not quite as nice as a dual disc clutch, but yeah, it's a lot cheaper too. And it's held up so far. Like I said, if I ever put slicks on this Trans Am, something will probably break, and this could be it. But I'd probably put my money on the transmission first. So anyway, I'm just going to push this bell housing off to the side. We're going to remove this clutch now. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts, and we're just gonna go crisscross pattern to remove them so we don't distort anything here. Again, I gotta put the camera down, so hang tight. All right, well, here is the flywheel. Had a little issue with my roller throwout bearing. This thing came out with a clutch, so this had dropped down. Got a little torn up or something. So I'm about to replace that guy. Yeah, you're gonna see here, there's a lot of chatter marks on this flywheel. So this flywheel, as you can see, this is a lightened flywheel. Okay, this outer piece here is aluminum. Okay, and this inner piece here is steel. So basically, you have an aluminum flywheel, and they fasten the steel friction ring to it so that your clutch has something stronger to to work against. Okay. The outer ring gear here is still, and when I pull this off, you'll see the carnage there. But let's check out this clutch real fast. There is the clutch. Let me pull this glove off. Ugh. I don't want to get this thing too messy. I'll have to clean it anyway, but okay. So here is the clutch. You can see it is a metallic puck style clutch. Organic on one side, metal on the other. So kind of the best of both worlds, so they say. That's not a crack, is it? What is that? No, it's not a crack. Okay, it's just a little bit of a scratch or something. But yeah, here's the clutch assembly itself here. This looks pretty good. But yeah, oh crap, making a mess already. Look at that. But yeah, the metallic portion there really tore up the flywheels. A lot of chatter there. But this gives you a lot more holding grip too. So between the little fingers on the Centerforce clutch and that metallic surface there, you get a really good grip. Like I said, I haven't had problems with the clutch really. I have noticed a little bit of chatter sometimes on taking it off, but for the most part it's been livable. So I've been pretty happy with it so far. I'm probably going to reinstall it after I clean it up. Yeah, so let's pull that flywheel off next. Here is the source of my problem. It's this aftermarket starter that's on here. Oh, who makes this? People should know. Protorque starter. Anyway, you can't really check this when everything's together, but as the starter is engaging, I'm trying to pull this out right there. You can see, maybe you can see, that it only engages about half of the teeth on this flywheel. So you can see how these, can you see? I don't know, maybe not. When I pull this flywheel out, you'll be able to see how the inside edge of this flywheel is kind of worn down because there just isn't enough contact area to turn this thing over reliably. So we're getting excessive wear. And of course now this flywheel is no good. One thing I'm going to try to do, I'm going to pull this starter out, and these bolts here are actually offset. So I'm wondering if I flip this thing around, will I be able to get better starter engagement on this thing? I really don't know, but I thought I'd give it a try and see. So let's check that out. All right, here's the Protorque starter, and well, I've got a feeling this thing here, I was hoping I'd be able to spin this thing around and get the starter a little closer because we have a slight offset here, but because of how this thing here is offset, I don't think that's going to happen. Because when I flip this around, this engagement is going to be all wrong. Kind of bummed about that, which means the only thing I can really do, maybe I can do this, is pull off this block here and take it to a machine shop and have them remove, you know, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch or so off the back side here to push the starter closer into the flywheel. I don't know if this is a flywheel issue or a starter issue. But yeah, something like that. I mean, you buy these things and you assume everything's going to work together right, and sometimes they just don't. And you end up with a destroyed flywheel. Go figure. Well, I found out the problem that I'm having here. There is an issue with these IMI high torque starters and some of the Hayes flywheels for the Pontiac. Apparently when Hayes made this flywheel, they didn't recess the mounting surface enough. I read that a common issue is about 0.125, 1/8 of an inch, although I'm measuring closer to 180 instead of 125 thousandths. So what I'm going to do is I do need to replace this ring gear no matter what. This flywheel has these special little retention slots tigged on there, but I think any generic ring gear will work. So I'm going to cut these rivets off and press off this ring gear, cut the tabs off, get a new ring gear, weld them back together, and done. Okay. As for the starter, I've already contacted IMI out in California, and for a semi-reasonable charge, it looks like they will make me a new mounting block with these holes repositioned a little bit. It's tricky because the bolts kind of interfere with how this thing mounts, so I'll probably lose a few options here on the side, but where it's mounted right now, it should be just fine. Okay, so it might be a few weeks, but I'll get this thing back installed and back running again.